This is the plaintiff, Michael Turner. He says he was driving down the road at 52 miles an hour when, kaboom, the defendant rear-ended him. Next thing he knows, his two dogs are crying and whimpering. His bumpers clear off and his back and neck are hurting him real bad. The defendant refused to take responsibility for his injuries and his dog's injuries and the damage he caused to his vehicle. And he's here suing her for the $19,004.37 he's owed. This is the defendant, Jacqueline Brooks. She says she doesn't owe the guy anything because he was the cause of the accident. He swerved into her lane. The cops took her statement and his, and she was released without any citations, and the insurance companies denied his claims. Nice try, buddy. But she thinks the judge will be siding with her today. She's accused of slamming a guy in the rear.
All parties, please raise your right hand. Is he to come to order, please? Litigants have been sworn, Your Honor.
Thank you, Douglas.
You're welcome in.
Okay, Mr. Turner, you are suing for $19,000 for vet bills, your hospital bills.
Yes, ma'am.
Increased insurance costs, repairs on your replacement car, money you paid to caregivers, $799 in miscellaneous expenses. Okay. All right, what are we talking about here? This was a car accident that happened when?
It was Friday the 13th.
Of course it was.
I was traveling to my mother's up in Mass, and I was traveling north on 24, which you have to, 24 north and I-195 are the same highway for about a quarter mile, and then there's a left-handed exit ramp back onto 24 north to go to Boston.
Okay.
And then where my family, or my mother lives.
Okay.
So I enter the highway, and I have a quarter mile to get over to take that left-handed exit
Okay,
ramp.
so when you say you entered, I'm going to just kind of put the car there for you. So let's just say you're this car. When you say you entered, did you enter
I
through
enter
here?
right
All right.
there.
So you entered through here.
Yes, I came on, a group of cars
And then from
came.
here to here is a quarter mile?
Yes,
All right,
roughly.
so there are cars that are traveling here?
Yes.
Okay. And then
Okay.
what happens?
When I come down the ramp, I look out, I can see a white car and Jacqueline Brooks in the middle lane.
Okay.
So I knew I had the time, and I went off.
To do what? To
yeah,
cut into these lanes?
I had my
so that
blinker
you can
on.
do this?
Yeah, exactly.
All right,
ma'am.
which of these lanes do you get hit in?
The third lane.
What part of your car gets hit?
The rear right side.
Rear right.
Rear right.
Okay, so she hits you with what part of her car?
I never seen the damage to her car.
All right, let's try to figure this out. Why don't you come over here and tell me how you say the accident happens?
I was traveling from work. I used to work there for years, so I always came home. So I was coming this way. He was coming this way.
Okay, so let's get rid of this car. Go ahead.
Well, that car, there was another car
Okay,
there.
go ahead.
So there was another car here.
Don't have the car going the wrong way on the highway.
I didn't see it, sorry.
All right.
So I was coming this way, and I always have to come over this way, and this is my way I always travel.
Okay, so you're trying to go
So
from the
I'm going
extreme
this
left
way
to the
to that
right,
way.
and he's trying to go from the extreme right
But
to
I
the
didn't-
left.
But I hadn't gone yet, because when I went to start watching to see if it was safe, I saw the big pickup truck that was in the middle lane slam on his brakes quickly, so I knew that someone was probably cutting over, because that
And who's that
happens.
someone? Him?
This is Michael Turner at the time.
Okay, so-
I can't see him at the time. I can just see these lights flash, so
So you think something's up?
I know something's up. And then as this car slams on its brakes, he slams this way a little bit, and then this car shot out. And I knew that at that point, I had to stop my car or I was going to hit him.
So what
because-
did you do?
So I slammed on my brakes and pulled all the way left, almost hitting this center median. And then I pulled it all the way right, slammed on the brake again hard, so that I smashed all the way right, and then I stopped.
So this guy's gone.
So that guy's now gone.
Right.
He now cuts over, and I stop, and I literally, when my car, because you know how when you stop, you kind of rock back and forth.
Yeah.
So my car was in full stop, and then it kicked up and just tapped his bumper on the pickup truck. So I ran over, and I said, "Sir, are you okay?" And he just looked at me and said, "Dude, you almost killed me." And I said, "You just called me a dude?" And then he just looked at me, and his dog was sitting on the seat still looking at me and barking. And then I said, "Sir, we really shouldn't be staying here. We should pull over off the highway." And he said, "I'm not going anywhere." So then I got in my car and pulled over here, and waited for the police.
Okay.
And then the police officer talked to me, talked to him, and then came back and said, leave. And I
Okay.
said, I need to know if I'm getting a ticket. He said, I'm not citing anybody, just go.
Okay.
I had to get off
Yeah.
of this because it's a very heavily populated
Yeah, I got it.
highway.
All right, so now, is that how the accident happened?
No.
Okay, but how differently? Because it really sounds like exactly
Okay,
what
can
you
I
said,
come
that
in-
you,
Can I come and show you, ma'am?
if you can, yes?
Yep, I will. What happened was, I come in off the off-ramp.
Well, we know that part. That part's undisputed.
No,
What I
no.
want to know is, once you're here,
Okay.
there's a car here.
She was here, this car was here.
Okay.
I come on, there's a group of cars come by. Now there's space between, half a mile between me and them, let's say.
Okay.
Okay, so then I have enough room. But they're flying. The speed limit's 55.
If they're flying, you don't have enough room. You know that's a law, right? That,
What do you
like,
mean?
if you cannot do it safely,
No, I had
then you
plenty of
cannot do
room.
it. In
I had
any
a
event,
half-
you cut into this lane. Go
I come
ahead.
in, I have my blinker on, everything.
Yeah.
I'm coming over to here.
Yeah, and
They come
you
up.
informed everybody that this is now
This
your
is-
favorite lane.
He slows
Yeah,
down.
and you're
He
going there.
slows down because he
Right.
sees me come
Right,
over.
and then-
She comes around because he slows down.
Okay,
but I'm
how do you
still-
know that? 'Cause
I'm looking out my rearview
I
mirror
need you to
now.
listen to me. I drive. I've been driving my whole life. So if I'm here and my focus is on cutting 2 lanes of traffic really quickly to get there, I don't know what the car behind me is doing. Nobody does.
Because she come over here.
How do you
I
know
can
that
see-
that's what she did? How do you know that that's what she
Because
did?
I seen this car and then I seen her in the middle lane.
So you say that she comes out from here, that you can see her, that then she ends up hitting you that way, right?
Yes, yeah.
Okay.
I think she tried to get around this car.
As opposed to what it looks like, which is that you've got to cut 2 lanes of traffic and hurry up and get there because it's such a short thing.
Exactly.
Okay. All right. Now, so the accident happens, no one's cited, and then what happens? Were the puppies in the car?
Yes.
Okay. And then what happens?
I go to the hospital. I drive myself to the hospital. And I was there for a certain amount of length of time. They gave me a neck brace and said, took an MRI.
Do you have pictures of the damage to the car?
Yes, I do.
May I see them?
Yes.
Okay, so I just see that I don't even see body damage on the body of the truck. It's just the bumper?
Yeah. When she impacted me, she pushed me 20 feet. So the bumper was on there, and it ruined the frame. That
Okay,
the bumper,
I know how accidents work. I've had them, and I've been a judge for 30 years. Can you tell me? Gosh,
What?
almost 30 years. That just freaked me out. All right. So is that the extent of the damage? Am I looking at it?
the bumper and the frame.
Okay, all right. So now you are suing for vet bills,
Yes, ma'am.
$1,000 in vet bills and almost $2,000 in eye surgery. Tell me about that.
Yeah, well, when she impacted the back of my vehicle, everything in my I had my seatbelt on. I went flying back. I hit my head in between I had bucket seats in between there. And my dogs were down on the floor of my cab of my truck. That's where I put them so they don't fly off the seat and stuff. And they went flying, and my dog...
So you're
Lincoln-
saying they got injured in the accident?
Yes, I am.
Okay, may I see the vet bills and the eye surgery, because the stuff I looked at was many, many months later.
Great.
What are your dogs' names?
There's Lincoln and Douglas.
Which one's Lincoln and which one's Douglas?
Lincoln is the black one. He's the one that was...
And
seriously-
Douglas, okay, yeah, I'm off. I'm like, so the black one's named Lincoln, and then the non-black one's named Douglas. Okay, I love the names.
Okay, here are all the vet bills right here, and that starts from the beginning till I can't treat them anymore, I can't afford to.
Okay, so the next day you take your dogs to the vet, and they do nothing. And then it's 6 months later is the next bill?
Yeah, I believe there's one missing.
Okay, well, do you have any evidence that something 6 months later is related to an accident from 6 months ago that was this kind of accident? How are you going to prove that, in other words? How are you going to get $3,000 out of her for medical bills for your dogs 6 months after an accident happens? Let's assume it's 100% her fault. Forget about everything else. How are you going to prove that those vet bills of the dogs have to do with the original thing?
I guess I can't, other than my word.
All right, let's talk about the hospital bills, $3,665. Those are your hospital bills?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, may I see all of your hospital bills?
Yep.
Now, when this accident happens, you go to her insurance company or your insurance company to get your car repaired?
They contacted me, they wanted a statement from me. I gave them the statement over the phone. I have
Did
the...
they pay for the repair to your vehicle?
No,
Okay, did they deny the claim?
yes.
So then, did you sue them?
I
Or
tried.
did you sue her?
I tried. I
Okay.
tried to bring them to
Well,
court.
you filed a $1.2 million lawsuit on this.
1.6.
1.6, I stand corrected, $1.6 million lawsuit on this with a lawyer?
No.
Alone?
Per
Okay.
se.
Pro se.
Pro se.
Pro se. So you filed that, but who was it against?
It was actually against her insurance company. That's who I thought I had to sue. And I was...
You actually sue her, and then she brings the insurance company in, is how it works. But anyway, so what happened with that lawsuit?
The insurance company got them taken off the claim. Well, I went to court.
Right, but then why didn't you have a $1.6 million lawsuit then against her?
I did.
And what happened with that?
It would take like 3 years to be heard. And the insurance company was off the, got taken off, and it was just me and her. So then I...
So now you're not at 1.6 million, you're out 19,000?
Right.
Okay, well, that's good. All right, so now,
I believe she
I
rear-ended
got it.
me.
You know I'm reading about your dog's glaucoma, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, why would she have to pay for your dog's glaucoma operation?
That's not a glaucoma.
An indolent ulcer today.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
how
what
is
it
that? How are you relating? How are you going to pin this on her? What is it going to pin? The Lindbergh baby kidnapping? May 2nd, the accident was 6 months earlier. The first time we've got a
Ma'am.
report on the dog, I'm seeing the words glaucoma
Your
and that
Honor.
reduce the pressure on the. Where is there anything here linking the doctor saying this is a result of an accident 6 months ago? Do you have any evidence of that?
Welcome back to the People's Court, Harvey, 11 years. So who's responsible if one driver swerves in and the other guy hits?
The swerver,
Why do you say?
because he's aggressively changing into the lane.
Fair enough, but aren't you supposed to kind of keep your distance and assume that something like that might happen? I don't know.
Did he signal?
Nope.
Then he's in the wrong.
Swerver is responsible.
Yes.
Sir, you're going to make it either a turkey or you're going to take issue.
I think the swerver's the one who's responsible because he's, like he said, he's driving aggressively.
Fair enough. Going inside the courtroom.
Your Honor, the clear part of his eye got cut. You couldn't see it.
I need you to give me evidence, besides your flapping gums, that she did something to your dog that she should have to pay for the $2,000 surgery. The first word I read is glaucoma. Then I read indolent ulcer in the eye. What would that have to do? Why are you pinning this on her?
His eye got cut from the accident.
Why don't you, where's the doctor saying that?
Well, I don't know if the doctor said it, but that's what happened.
How come there's no evidence? You take the dog the day after, and there's not a word about a cut on the eye.
We didn't notice it. It was.
But you're looking, the doctor's looking. That's the whole point of the exam. So nobody notices anything, and then all these months later, we're trying to connect it to something.
No, ma'am. It was.
Well, that's
pussing.
exactly what it is.
It was bleeding and pussing, and I was trying to. I didn't have the money to bring him to a vet.
You brought him to the vet the next day, and it wasn't bleeding and pussing.
No,
You brought him to the vet the day after the accident.
Exactly.
That's right. And there's zero evidence that at that time it was either bleeding or pussing because we have a medical report. So we know it wasn't. Right?
But I
okay.
did bring-
What else are you suing for? $5,248.80. Increase in insurance premiums.
Yes, ma'am. My premiums went up. I have evidence my premiums went up.
Okay, but maybe they went up
$200
because you were cutting 2 lanes of traffic to try to get out to your exit in time and somebody ended.
I didn't cut anybody off, ma'am.
You were moving into a lane that she was already in.
She should. The third lane is a passing lane. She should have been in a traveling lane, anyways. That's the Massachusetts
What if
state
she's
law.
going out on that? Maybe that's the lane she should be in if she's going out on
Well,
that.
then
Well,
she's
why would
going
she?
too fast. She rear-ended me at a high rate of speed.
They didn't cite her, right? The cops didn't cite her. All right,
No,
so
they-
now
they
you've
didn't
got.
cite me either, ma'am.
Yes, exactly. They didn't cite either of you.
Exactly.
So you want $799.36 miscellaneous expenses. I'm going to need you now to detail what that is.
That is the expenses that I spent going to Superior Court trying to.
You mean when you sued for 1.6?
Yes. Exactly. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, why would she pay for that? Why is that her responsibility to pay for? You ended up dropping that lawsuit. Why would she have to pay you? And how do you come up with $799 and exactly 36 cents?
I added the receipts up that I spent on faxing and certified mail and everything I needed to do to
file a $1.6 million lawsuit that you
Yeah.
dropped and decided you didn't want to do, and she's got to pay for that.
Yes, ma'am.
Gotcha.
Well, she's up there
I
stating
need you,
what
you're the
happened.
plaintiff in a case. When you come to court and you want to ching-ching, let the
Well-
cash register ring, you've got to prove your damages, you see? You have to prove your damages. And so when you come to court, you have to be able to prove to me that it happened the way you're saying, and then you have to, that's called liability. And then after liability, we get to damages. But the damages were so glaring that I've started with that. Because you're asking for things like eye surgery for glaucoma 6 months later that you want to pin on her.
No.
$1.6 million in a lawsuit in a car that didn't even have chassis visible damage, so we know it was a tap. And I'll go you one further. I don't find that you've proven that the accident was her fault. And unless you can prove that to me, you don't collect. Verdicts for the defendant.
So, in this $19,000 lawsuit, the plaintiff, Mr. Turner, has failed to convince the judge he deserved to prevail. What are you thinking right now?
I don't think it was fair. I really don't think it was fair. I don't think she looked at the evidence fairly. I know what happened. I know what happened in the accident.
Well,
she rear-ended me.
I know. We went over that.
She
I
was
just
speeding.
I feel sorry for you.
Nope, that's
How'd
all
the
right.
dogs? Are they okay now?
No, Lincoln.
How's Douglas?
Douglas is fine. Douglas is, he's younger.
How's Lincoln?
Lincoln, he's blind.
Okay. I love the name, Lincoln Douglas.
Yeah, like the
All right.
Civil War.
Well, look, thank you very, very much.
right, thank you.
Sorry it didn't work out for you, sir.
That's all right.
All right.
Sorry. Thank you.
You'll work your way on out. Now, here comes Ms. Brooks, the defendant. It's interesting. You've had very little to say in
No,
this
I
case.
didn't have to, thank goodness.
Were you surprised to get sued by him? for this?
I was surprised.
And for $19,000?
Right, well, for the first original 1.6, so I was happy
yeah,
that
that
it
blew
went
you
down
away,
to
I'm sure.
19,000, yeah. I'm just glad I didn't have to pay it.
Yeah, all right. Well, look, congratulations. All
Thank
right,
you.
sorry it worked out that you even got in the accident to begin
Well,
with,
I'm just
okay?
glad that everybody's okay.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, thank you very much.
Okay, I mean, these folks are right. Swerving in like that can rebut the presumption, because the presumption is the person who brings in the rear is responsible.